Ladies and gentlemen, I am Link Austin. I want to thank you for joining us for this edition of the Link Austin Show. Today is September the 21st, 2013, and I want to talk to you about a story that came out yesterday about a man being arrested in Baltimore, outside of Baltimore, in a town called Towson, Maryland. Not sure the pronunciation, so Maryland folks, you can correct me. But this guy was arrested as a parent at a supposed town hall meeting with school officials that were implementing the Common Core curriculum in this particular school district, Baltimore County School District. For those of you that aren't familiar with Common Core, let me give you a brief rundown. A few months ago, you may have remembered we did some reports, had several articles about this curriculum coming out of Texas, of all places. They were one of the first states to implement the curriculum, and here's why. President Obama's Secretary of Education, Arne Duncan, developed this thing called Race to the Top. And so basically, if your school district, if your state Department of Education decided to implement the Common Core curriculum by a certain amount of time, your state education would receive a $4.35 billion incentive. So that's a lot of money. And a lot of people really didn't do their research, and I guess they just assumed there was nothing harmful or bad in the Common Core curriculum. I mean, nothing could be bad if the federal government is pushing for a national type curriculum. So out of Texas, we had these stories where kids were reporting to their parents these exercises and things they were learning at school, and parents were freaking out and just raising hell about it. One of the things was a mom saw her son come home with this. The students in the class were asked to draw and create the flag for a new socialist nation. That was the first thing that threw up some red flags, no pun intended. The second thing, even more concerning, was that this textbook, based off of the Common Core curriculum, was teaching that the Boston Tea Party, this is a quintessential, huge event, very key in getting the American Revolution going. The Boston Tea Party, they said, was a domestic act of terrorism. They basically said that the founding fathers were domestic terrorists. This is what the Common Core is about. It is about, to quote an article from American Thinker by Dean Callahar, it says this: Common Core is about promoting an agenda of anti-capitalism, sustainability, white guilt, basically saying that if you're white, you're automatically a racist, global citizenship, effective math, and culture-sensitive spelling and language. That's a pretty good summation. There's also a lot of anti-American teaching, as I just went over with you a few minutes ago. So, back to Robert Small in Maryland. At the town hall meeting, the parents were asked to submit their questions in advance of the meeting. Then the superintendent was going to read the questions out loud, just randomly, supposedly picking questions that parents had. Well, what parents found out was that their questions, when read, were completely different from what they had submitted. So the questions had been paraphrased. They had been created to omit any sort of negative things that would have been bad to talk about that the school district did not want to address. So Mr. Small gets upset, I'm assuming, and he stands up and begins to read some of his questioning aloud in front of all of the parents and the school officials. Well, not very long into this, he is approached by a security guard who then turns out to be a police officer. The man tells him he needs to leave and that he can't ask these questions, takes him outside, arrests him, and this is what Robert Small faces today. So Small was charged with a second-degree assault of a police officer and faces a, get this, $2,500 fine and up to 10 years in prison. He was also charged with disturbing a school operation, give me a break, which carries an additional $2,500 and up to 6 months in jail. This is the face of America. This man, when he left the town hall meeting, he said, "You are sitting here like cattle," talking to the audience. He says, "Is this America?" Actually, let's just play that last clip right here.
Let him ask his question.
The next question.
So this is a dovetail.
Don't stand for this. You're sitting here like cattle. You have questions. You confront them. They don't want to do it in public.
Okay, the next.
Excuse me, buddy. Hey, this is America. This is not a CNN political debate. You're managing to go where you want. Hey, that's right.
This is America, ladies and gentlemen. This is what it's becoming, because when we see things like this happen, we have to stand up for people like Robert Small. Notice that there were a couple people in the video yelling, "Leave the man here. We want to hear the answer to his question." I mean, people were, I believe that the whole audience probably knew that they had to know that it was wrong that this man is being ushered out jerked out of the meeting by a police officer because of asking respectful, polite questions, wanting to have answers from people that are supposed to be serving the public, not telling them what to do. But this is what happens when no one stands up. Had the whole crowd stood up, if we were all there and we were in the audience and every one of us stood up and said, "No, you will not arrest this man. He is asking questions. We want to know those answers too." Well, the chances are Mr. Small wouldn't have been arrested. But instead, people are afraid. And people want to go with the flow. They want to just submit to authority, even when they know that it's probably wrong. And, this is the thing. We're just asking, this guy is just asking questions. We just want to know answers. But no, just because someone is an official, we're not allowed to do that anymore. That is the America that we're becoming. So I want to take just a minute to give you what I believe are the three goals, the three main, very topical goals of this Common Core curriculum that are very scary. The first is that its goal is to nationalize the education system. It is to nationalize, and that is have the federal government control the flow of information to our children. And whether you have children or not, you need to be concerned, because these children will grow up and very obviously are going to be the leaders, the workers, the employers. They're going to be the people that make up the leadership of communities in the near future. They are the next generation. And if they are taught all sorts of anti-American, globalist garbage, we are doomed as a nation. I think the next big goal is, I know the next big goal of this is that they want to use the Common Core to create a very subjective measurement process to decide how teachers are doing. Right now, teachers have objective measurement criteria that is used to decide whether they, if they have performance-based pay, if the students aren't learning, they don't get a pay raise. Makes sense, doesn't it? Well, this core, you may have seen the video, actually, YouTube video a couple months ago, where at a conference about Common Core, one of the teachers says, basically, so are you saying that with Common Core, if a student says 2 + 2 is 1, is that okay? And the administrator, one of the people at this conference, is saying, oh yeah, actually it is. 2 + 2 doesn't really have to equal 4, because we want to know, what's more important is how did the student come up with 1 being the answer, not that 4 is actually the answer. No, 2 + 2 = 1 is okay. That's the kind of crap that this core is teaching. And that's it in a nutshell. But basically, the unions are they're backing this curriculum because they know that if students' scores are suffering, the teachers represented by these unions will continue to get pay raises even if the students are performing horribly. But no, not by Common Core. They'll be doing just fine even if they know nothing. They're just taught to be good little socialists and good little communists. The third goal, and very possibly even more scary implementation of this curriculum, is that it allows for a data collection system. Let me read for you a report. This is a quote out of American Thinker, written by Dean Kalahar. It says that in 2012, the U.S. Department of Education rewrote federal privacy laws to let it share a child's academic record with virtually anyone. States have begun combining student records of test scores, discipline history, medical records, nicknames, religion, political affiliation, addresses, extracurricular activities, bus stop times, psychological evaluations into a private database called In Bloom. Do you believe that that database will be used to help your child or hurt them? To help your family or hurt them? Can you not see what's happening here? This isn't about one department or one, it's not just about the Common Core. This is about an all-out push from all fronts within our government, within our federal government, to radically transform the nation, to radically transform the country's way of thinking. Just as President Obama said in a 2008 acceptance speech in Colorado. Do you remember? Let's play it.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time is now to stand up for what you believe, to stand up for what you know is right, to stand up for men and women like Robert Small. I want to thank you for joining us today. I hope that you'll share this information with your friends. We need to get this information out to everyone. If we do not begin to stand for people like Robert Small, we have no hope as a nation. We have no hope to be able to do the right thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Link Austin.